Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Raider Roster Report. This is Raider Sparks coming at you with another episode. Thought we'd take a look at the upcoming draft. We're only a few weeks away and getting excited for that. I'm sure everybody that's watching this video is excited about the upcoming draft. So just wanted to give a flavor of the players I'm looking at now. The pro days are complete, kind of the players I like. Kind of reviewed the roster and kind of, projecting the needs, things like that. I think one of the interesting parts will be who gets the extensions. We got several players, especially on defense, coming up for contract extensions, and so some key players on defense. But if we don't extend those players, then I think those would be the positions where we look early in the draft to maybe shore it up for upcoming seasons, that type of thing. I mean, our safety room, our two starters are up, Mooring and Epps. I think Mooring will probably get an extension. I don't know about Epps. We'll see. Obviously, Malcolm Kuntz is a key one. But if we don't extend him, look for us to possibly draft early a defensive end. Some other guys, Spillane and Diablo, our starting linebackers, are both up for extension. We'll see what happens there. But if only one of them gets an extension, then look for us to go early, possibly for linebacker. And then, on the offensive side of the ball, I think we're pretty set there. I don't think there's a ton of extensions or starter type extensions that need to be done at this point in time. So backup running back, Alexander, we signed him on a 1-year deal, and Abdullah on a 1-year deal. So I definitely think we'll look for a running back, that type of thing. But yeah, definitely some key defensive pieces coming up for the extensions and things like that. But I think it translates to the draft as well. So that's kind of how I kind of did it. I've got about 85 players that I really like. And the only reason I say 85 is because I do a bunch of UDFAs, because if we do trade up for a quarterback, it's going to cost a lot of draft capital. So, and we haven't done a lot in free agency. Obviously, that changes drastically if we get some free agency going. But just want to give you a flavor of kind of what I see out there. And we'll just start on the offensive side of the ball. And I'll probably look down a bunch. But obviously, round one, if we're going to get a quarterback, it'd probably be Michael Penix. I think everybody's kind of realizing that now. It's going to be tough to get up. If we do get up, a lot of draft capital. But we'll see if we end up trading up in the draft. But right now it's looking like if we did go first round quarterback, probably be Michael Penix. And so that's kind of the quarterback that I have on my list. And then if we UDFA, I like Tanner Mordecai out of Wisconsin. Very athletic, pocket passer, but can run. He rushed for four touchdowns, over 300 yards. He only played in 10 games, so this past season, but very accurate quarterback, 65% completion rate. Can do a lot of good things. Not anybody's really talking about him, but had a great pro day. And, even if he's our third or fourth quarterback, whatever on the roster, practice squad guy, even somebody that can run around and do the practices for us, I think why not? As far as receivers go, it'd be a long shot of Brian Thomas Jr. To get our field stretcher. Definitely somebody. It would be a long shot in the first round for us, but would really open up the offense. I really like his game. Obviously, the speed is measurables, everything else is fantastic. But really, I think the Raiders will target somebody that can play inside and out, just because Jacoby and Adams will probably get a lot of time in the slot. So I'm kind of looking at receivers that can do multiple things, and so I'd move down to Jalen Polk would be great. Obviously, get his running mate if we got Penix. Second or third round. It's kind of his projection right now. Probably solid second round, I would think. But great player, really versatile. He spent a lot of time on the outside and the inside when Jalen McMillan went down. So he definitely has a skill set to do both. I love him at the catch point. He's great. And then Ricky Pearsall out of Florida, Arizona State transferred. So there's a connection there, I'm sure. But same thing as Polk. Great at the catch point. Can stretch deep downfield, and works out of the slot and on the outside both. I think his snaps are somewhat equal in that regard as well. And then in the fourth round, a long shot, but Jermaine Burton doesn't work as much, didn't work hardly at all in the slot at Alabama, but definitely could. I see a lot of CeeDee Lamb in him. He's great at the catch point, stretch the field. I think he averaged over 20 yards a catch, and with subpar throwing quarterback, in Milrow. So outstanding player there. If the Raiders could get him, he's a first round talent. He just got off the field stuff. You can read about that later. But then if we went UDFA, Xavier Weaver out of Colorado, spent about 20% of the time in the slot and the rest on the outside. But he's great. He stretched the field for us. Fantastic receiver. I don't see him as UDFA. I think he's a solid, probably like a 5th-round pick, really. But I would love to get him. And then just a skill set that we don't have, a tall receiver, Devon Valet out of Utah, 6'5" receiver. Kind of reminds me of Evans from the Buccaneers, really. But he can separate too. He's 6'5", but or 6'4", 6'5", but he can really move, run. Big slot if you want him to be that type of thing. So I really liked him. And then Mason Tipton out of Yale, slot guy, tough at the catch point, can run, get some yak, but he's a 4.34 guy, and so typically Getsy has a fast slot guy. Chicago, they had Velus Jones, and then I forget the other guy's name. Oh, Mooney, of course. Yeah, so super fast guys out of the slot, and so it's kind of his MO. And so, Mason Tipton's fantastic. You haven't seen him play, check out his highlights. He's really good. And then for running backs, I think Dylan Labe in the 4th round would be outstanding for us because he's a slot receiver as well, but could do so much for us in this punt return, kick return. The pro day was amazing. The short shuttle, all that stuff is there. But yeah, fantastic player. I really like his game out of New Hampshire. So he would really change our offense for us, compete with Abdullah for that spot, but really give us a true weapon in the pass game, run game, everything. He's got it all. He's fantastic. And then Isaac Guerrero out of Louisville. A lot of people have been talking about him. His athletic ability is phenomenal. Great wide zone runner, so he would be fantastic. Good in the kicking game too. And then Tyrone Tracy out of Purdue, again, converted wide receiver, fantastic. A lot of people talk about him. And then Blake Watson on Memphis as well. You can't go wrong with any of those guys, I don't think. They're all converted receivers. They're good in the run game. Although Blake Watson really didn't do much in the run game, but the other 3 guys sure did. So I really like those guys. And then a power runner, or more power runner for our short yardage game, would be Carson Steele at UCLA. I think 6th, 7th round type guy, but he rushed for over 3,000 yards in his career, but 75% of them were after first contact, so he doesn't go down easy. And that's the kind of guy that we could definitely use, and he's good in the pass game too, so definitely we could use him. And then one guy that's really being slept on, I think, because his pro day wasn't great, Noah Kane, but out of LSU, he runs through the tackles great. He's a power rusher. And so if we were looking for a short yardage guy or somebody that can just kind of run out the clock type thing, definitely a guy, practice squad, probably material, but definitely a power rusher. I liked his game. I like the way he runs between the tackles and gets extra yards after contact. Really solid. And then, of course, we're going to get a fullback. Ernest Crownover out of Texas A&M is fantastic. He's a West Coast fullback guy. He can block really good. He can actually rush. He's still fine in the running game. And in the passing game, he can catch passes out of the backfield. So I would look for him. Most of the time, fullbacks don't get drafted, but I could see a West Coast team type. Anybody that uses a fullback might even use a 7th-round pick on him. He's really good. So somebody I really like. And then a long shot would be Luke Benson out of Georgia Tech. He's tight end, but I think he's going to convert to fullback for the NFL. But he would have been the fastest tight end at the combine, according to his pro day. I know those stats are a little inflated, but definitely somebody to keep an eye on. So somebody I like. They barely use him in the passing game, but definitely a really good blocker. So somebody that we could potentially look at. Tight end, I like McClendon Castles, late round pick. I think our tight end room is pretty solid. So excellent blocker. He can do some stuff in the pass game. I like the fact that he went to UC Davis and transferred to Tennessee and had no problem. Converted really well into the SEC play. So he's an up-and-coming player, I think, somebody that we can grab. And then Devin Culp out of Washington, more of an offensive pass-catching threat with some yak ability. He didn't get a lot of opportunity at Washington, but, I mean, if we get Penix bringing his running mate, it would be great. But somebody that he was the fastest tight end at the combine. But I thought he was really underutilized at Washington and somebody that could definitely add some value. So a player I really like. And then on the interior offensive line, I like Brandon Coleman, a converted tackle to guard, kind of plays both. But you saw him at the Senior Bowl. The first 3 plays of the game, they just had him pulling, right? So that's exactly what we're looking for. Somebody that can block in space, great RAS, unbelievable testing scores, good length, everything, converted tackle. He probably played tackle for us too. So somebody that I really like. Tanner Bortolini, again, um, probably projected as a center, but definitely could play guard, kind of like what the Eagles did with Dickerson, definitely a great RAS guy too, somebody that can block in space, great athlete, somebody we can use. And then Mason McCormick out of North Dakota, or South Dakota, I'm not sure. But anyways, had a great Senior Bowl. Again, testing off the charts. I think he might be a more power gap scheme guy, but he can move though. So obviously his vert was one of the best at the combine for interior or even any lineman really. So somebody he can definitely play. And then I'd go to with the guard spot. I'd go to the UDFA after those 3. And Spencer Cole out of Texas Tech, fantastic. One of the highest graded blockers in the whole draft, really. And excellent testing scores. He'd fit right into our scheme as well. He would probably challenge for a starting spot right away too. I mean, he's really good if you haven't checked him out. And then Jarrett Kingston out of USC, same thing, good in the run game, converted tackle as well. So very, very good player, high RAS scores, good athlete, definitely somebody that can come in. And then for center, Jacob Monk, out of Duke. I mean, really good. Again, testing scores. He's going to be a really good center for somebody. I think he gets drafted. I think all of these guys I just mentioned we get drafted, even though I used PFN and just kind of use their mock drafts, and they have, you know, Spencer Cole and Jarrett Kingston. These guys aren't getting drafted in those. So, but I do think they will get drafted. And Godley Azib from Maryland, converted tackle. Again, great feet, can move. I think he would convert well to our running game. Good pass blocker as well. And then Donovan Jennings out of USF, South Florida. Again, I like the power he shows. He's a good athlete, more of a power blocker, but I think he can move well enough. He converted tackle to guard. I think he would be fantastic for us. He really can block, man. He's a big dude too. And then for tackles, I have Troy Fontenot in round 1. I think he's one of the top targets. If not, if it's going to be offensive line, him or Fuaga. So one of those guys will be picked by us if we go tackle. It's either tackle or cornerback or quarterback right in the first round. I think we're all kind of in agreement on that. And then round 2, Kingsley Sumatea out of BYU. I really like him. His athletic profile fits exactly what we need for right tackle. Then after that, it gets a little questionable for starting tackles, but Roger Rosengarten, I just question his play strength, but out of Washington, but did well. He can move, right? He's a great athlete. That's what we need is an athlete at right tackle. So all 4 of those guys I mentioned can really move. And then if we went later, Matt Goncalves out of Pittsburgh, coming off an injury, his pro day was good, but it could have been better. He really hadn't trained much because of his injury, but I like the way he blocks. I think he's a really solid player. He can play guard, or he mainly played left and right tackle, but I'm sure he's built like a guard. I'm sure he can do it. So I really like his game. I like his toughness. So, and then some UDFAs that PFN has is Frank Crum out of Wyoming. Again, swing tackle guy. I don't think people say guard, but he's too tall, I think. So I'd keep it as a swing tackle, but very athletic, raw, but a lot of upside there. And then if we wanted a more probably stable, but great athlete, Tylen Grable out of UCF, really good athlete, solid player. You know, he can definitely, probably needs a little time to develop, but that's okay. As a UDFA, we could work with that. And then we go over to the defensive side of the ball, and I'll do these kind of by I guess position. It'd probably be easier because I think as far as like the defensive tackle room, I think we're looking for more of a kind of a nose tackle with some pass rush abilities. And so there's not a lot of those guys in the draft, unless we obviously went early. But I don't see us going early for D tackle, but I mean, guys that I kind of would take a look at would be Mason Smith. And I got to be honest, out of LSU, this is just all measurables. He's coming off an injury from 2 years ago or a year ago, where he was dominant. But then after his injury, just wasn't the same player. So, but the measurables are incredible for him. So I could definitely see the Raiders taking a swing. they have him in the third round. If he falls to the fourth, then I say, yeah, go for it. Third round might be a little questionable given kind of where our roster is right now and our needs, but definitely a guy that can play. McKinley Jackson, same thing. McKinley Jackson's interesting because I think there's a lot of potential there for him. A lot of people are down on him right now, but I think he's going to be a good player in the league. His stats weren't great in college, but neither were Dalvin Tomlinson. It's kind of, I heard that comp the other day and it made a lot of sense. And he worked out pretty well in Patrick Graham's system. So I think McKinley Jackson could kind of do the same. And then after that, I'd kind of go the UDFA route with the D tackle room. I mean, I don't see a real need for us to get a true like 3 tech because Wilkins isn't coming off the field, and then the other D tackle spot's going to be a nose tackle sometimes, Tyree sometimes, and then how many spots are really available? Then we got the young guys still coming up, Byron Young and Matthew Butler, you know, those guys coming up. So I would just take a swing with the 3 tech types and that in the UDFA, and there's some good ones that I like. Let's see here. I guess we'll start with, well, let's go back to the big nose tackles. Justin Rogers played really well at Kentucky. His stats weren't great at Auburn, but you watched the Auburn-Alabama game, you saw a guy that can eat up blocks like crazy, man. He's good. I liked him. And then Trey Colbert out of Maryland is another guy that's just a space eater. Big dudes, if you want him to kind of go behind Jenkins. We don't know what we have in McCall yet, so if guy kind of develop under Jenkins, those two guys I think would be a couple key guys. And then penetrating nose tackles, I like Jalen Hutchings out of Texas Tech. In 2022, when he was playing more nose, he'd be like a Nessa Jade Sevilla weight wise, maybe a smaller nose, but penetrator. And so he was the highest rated defensive tackle in the Big 12 in 2022, behind even Byron Murphy and Sweat and all those guys. Jalen Hutchings, when he was getting to play that spot, was dominant, and so it's a guy I would take a shot on as a UDFA. And then Tyler Baugh, good player out of Minnesota, high energy guy. Stats aren't great, but the energy is fantastic. Plays a lot in the A gap, and I want guys with big time energy on the D line to, like Antonio Pierce said, we need to match Max Crosby, and so I think we kind of need some guys like that. And so Tyler Ball would be a guy I would be taking a look at. And then true 3 techs, and Casey Rogers out of Oregon, just a testing phenom, but no stats as well. Older player, but I think he's a little bit more NFL ready. He could play 3 tech. He played in the A gap as well. He's a super strong guy, so somebody I really like. And then Levi Drake Jackson, another small school guy, but dominated the Tropical Bowl. High energy guy, true 3 tech dude. Can get after it a little bit. I think he's being undervalued right now. On the consensus, he's like 600 or something. But I think he's got some game. I think he'll get into a camp, and we'll see what he can do from there. But a guy I like. And then sort of a 3-4 defensive end, like a bigger defensive end. I think we're kind of looking at that. And Jonah Lalu from Oklahoma, great testing numbers. Low production. Again, these guys are just more athletes, and so we need to find a home for him. But I think his home in the NFL is going to be a big 3-4 defensive end, but we could definitely use him on the edge or bring him inside, that type of thing, and just sort of see if we can develop him. But he's got all the tools, just a solid player. And then another guy would be a real long shot, Antonio Alfonso. You can look him up. He was a top recruit years ago. He's one of Alabama's #1 recruits. Didn't Google whatever happened there, and then he went to Oregon. Didn't happen. He played at a junior college last year. So, but as you would expect, completely dominated at junior college. But his athletic testing was completely off the charts. He's big. He's like 286 pounds, but with his testing numbers, he could play a big edge or go inside. So, a guy that keep an eye on him. And then guys on the edge, like I said, if we're not going to get Malcolm Kuntz back, round 2, Chris Braswell out of Alabama, I think is a fantastic player. He's a great football player, good pass rush. He can handle the run. I know Dallas Turner's getting all the love, but I think Chris Braswell is a better football player. So somebody I really like. And then later rounds, Brennan Jackson out of Washington State. Again, high motor guy, can get after the quarterback, pretty good in the run game as well. just energy, right? Just match Max Crosby. That's what we're looking for, and that's what he does. And then Mo Camara, same thing, out of Colorado State. Again, a little undersized, probably projects more as a 3-4 defensive end, but or outside linebacker, however you want to say it. But fantastic, high energy guy. He gets after the quarterback. He was all over it in the Shrine Bowl. So just a terrific player. I don't know if he fits with us, but I wish he did, or take a shot at him because I love the energy he plays with. And then I guess some UDFA guys, Justin Blazek out of Plateville, I think, Wisconsin, a small school, has all the measurables, big time production, and just high energy guy as well. I think getting him as a UDFA, he's going to be in camp somewhere. Really good testing numbers, fantastic player. And then AJ Simon out of Albany, he replaced Verse at Albany, and really strong player. Could definitely get to the quarterback. I think he had 12 sacks last year, so just somebody to keep an eye on. Somebody I liked, but we'll see where he goes. I think he's going to get drafted too. Both these guys might get drafted, to be honest with you. And then let's see here. So linebacker, if we went early, like we're not going to extend Splain or Divine Diablo, then Edrin Cooper in round 2. I don't think I need to talk about him much. He's fantastic. Junior Colson round 3, and then Tevin Wallace as well out of Kentucky. All these guys, 2 of them are ready to play now. Cooper and Colson would be fantastic for us. And then Trevin Wallace, he probably needs a year to develop, which is perfect because we have Divine, we have Splain. So, but he's truly that sideline linebacker that we've been looking for years as Raider fans. So somebody I really like out of Kentucky. And then after that, honestly, with the linebacker, I would just go the UDFA route after that. And there's some good ones. Jacob Roberts out of Wake Forest. Nobody's talking about him, but he's a solid player, man. He's really good, especially in special teams. He has 6 blocked punts in his career. So somebody that I really like to potentially come in and compete for one of the linebacker roles for us. Bryce Gallagher, just a true modern day middle linebacker, 235. Very smart, intelligent player. Be a great backup to Splain out of Northwestern. Still Chambers. People are dogging him out of Ohio State, but I think he's really good. He can do the pass, play the run. His testing numbers are kind of questionable. I don't know. I've seen different reports and see how he did, but I just remember one play where he was the quarterback looking at the defense. He was the left side linebacker, and he ran all the way across the field on a halfback pass and broke up a pass in the back of the right end zone. So don't tell me that guy can't run. He's a good player, man. I really like him. I think he's going to get drafted. Josh Johnson out of UCF, or Jason Johnson, sorry, out of UCF. He's just a tackling machine, modern day middle linebacker, smaller stature guy, but I think he's got some pop in his pads, and he's a good linebacker. And then Joe Andreessen out of Buffalo, big linebacker, 240-pound dude, and he hits, but he can cover. He had a great pro day. He can move. The Patriots invited him to his local camp, so solid player there. So a guy I really like. And then turning to the quarterback, CB room, obviously Mitchell or Arnold, take your preference in the first round. Whichever one's there, I guess, is the way to say it. I prefer Mitchell, but a lot of people like Arnold. So either one, as a Raider fan, I don't think we're going to be too upset about that if we decide to go that route. The second round be Max Mountain for me. He's a dog, man. He can play. He's a great athlete, good ball skills, somebody I really like. And we get into the third round, Phillips from Kentucky. I think he would. I don't know if he's ready to start yet, but he can play inside and out. He's got that versatility, so somebody to keep an eye on for us. I think he'd fit in our scheme really well, and sort of, him and Max Mountain aren't going to be cornerback ones, dominant like that, but could definitely fill that extra cornerback spot, or at least compete for that starting spot. I think their skill levels there. Play on the outside, play on the inside if you want him to. And Phillips actually probably is best on the inside, but we'll see how his career ends up. It's guys I really like. And then Mike Sanderson out of Michigan again, probably the top slot guy, but I think he can play on the outside. Just a great athlete. And so if you want to look at the Kansas City mold, I know we have Hobbs, but Kansas City just puts the best athletes and DBs and doesn't really worry so much about slot, outside, whatever. And that's kind of what you're going to do with Mike Sanderson if you end up getting him. So a player I really liked. And then Nehemiah Pritchett, again, out of Auburn. Great testing, good, solid cornerback, play inside and out, got that versatility. So a player I really like. And then Miles Harden out of one of the Dakota schools, I forget, but solid player, great feet. I thought, and as far as the drills at the combine, I thought he had the best feet. He's really quick. His short shuttle showed it. It was sub-4 short shuttle, but play inside and out. Just a really solid player, somebody I really liked. And then if we went outside cornerbacks, UDFA, obviously Cortez Stegers out of Canada, solid player. He's getting a lot of buzz right now, but he looked great in the Shrine Bowl. I would take a shot at him. And Chiggy Newsium out of Colorado State. People were kind of dogging him lately, but I thought he was really good. He comes out of his back pedal well, be an outside cornerback for us. And again, this is UDFA. And he just has that certain mentality that you need, I think, to play the cornerback position. So a couple guys there I like on the outside. In the slot, Beanie Bishop's fantastic. Out of West Virginia, had a great pro day. Good ball skills, tackles, does everything well. So if we wanted that backup slot to Nate Hobbs, Beanie Bishop would be great for us. And then Willie Roberts out of La Tech, really the same mold as Meek Robertson. So obviously it took Meek a little bit. I expect Willie Roberts to do the same. Haven't seen his testing numbers, was a little concerning, but he was one of the highest rated outside cornerbacks in the country. Gets his hands on the ball, and so, but I think his home is probably going to be on the inside, but we'll see. He's 5'9", 5'10", but really solid cornerback. So somebody to kind of keep an eye out for. And then sort of do it all cornerbacks, safeties, whatever. Eddie Heckard from BYU, big time playmaker, good tackler, good cover guy. He kept up with Xavier Worthy at Texas just fine. He didn't do he had an injury, so he didn't do the pro day, but I'm suspect he's pretty fast if he can keep up with Worthy. And then Maurice Harris out of Fresno State, again, great player. Probably projects as a nickel or a safety, but really can move. Great ball skills, and plus he had 9.5 tackles for loss last year. So a player I really started to pay attention to lately. So solid player. And then we'll round it off with the safeties. Darian Thompson-Dornson, I'm not sure I said that name right, but DTD, how's that? Texas Tech, really solid player, plays the nickel really well, kind of that Marcus Epps role. Could play deep safety, come in the slot, whatever. High energy guy. Loved him at the Shrine Bowl, so somebody to keep an eye on. And then Malik Mustafa as well, probably a 4th round pick. A little concerned with his coverage skills. He's kind of tight. He's a big, thick dude, but he can tackle, man, and he flies around the field. I just love the energy he plays with, so somebody to keep an eye on out of Wake Forest. Evan Williams out of Oregon, again, another nickel type, safety kind of guy. I think that's kind of what we're looking for. It's kind of a theme with my safeties. I think it's kind of a guy we're looking for. Had a nice pick at the Shrine Bowl. Solid player at Oregon, though. And then I think a very likely pick for us is Thomas Harper out of Notre Dame. Again, another nickel type safety kind of guy, but really solid player. I think it, obviously our GM really likes Notre Dame guys, so I would kind of circle him as maybe a draft pick for us. And then a long shot would be Ryan Watts. He's converting from outside corner to safety, but solid tackler. I think PFF rated him the best tackler, if not him and Arnold for cornerbacks, right up there. But really solid tackler, great testing numbers. Again, like 7th round kind of guy. And then if we want to look at safeties, like strong safeties, Jalen Key out of Alabama, great testing numbers. Again, an Alabama DB, I mean, well coached. Why not take a shot? Trey Fluellen out of Middle Tennessee State, really solid player, good tackler. So somebody I really liked. I just got to see some interviews with them and things like that. And actually, a lot of NFL teams are starting to meet with him as well. So solid, strong safety candidate for us. And then PJ Jules out of Southern Illinois, another small school guy, but he led his team in tackles and pass breakups the last 2 seasons. So unfortunately, he got hurt at his pro day, so we didn't get to see the full results, but really solid prospect. As far as free safeties goes, King Dent, I think maybe circle him too as a possible free safety type nickel kind of guy, out of Florida State. Good testing numbers, solid player. So somebody that maybe kind of keep an eye on. And then Tyler Owens, a long shot. This is all measurables. I've never seen anybody have a 10 RAS score. So incredible athlete. and so he's got a ways to go, but UDFA and maybe developing that type of thing. And then Cam Allen, he's #2 leader from Purdue in interceptions. Strong tropical bowl or hula bowl, I forget which one, but solid athlete, good testing numbers. Somebody that I would keep an eye on for a free safety type player. He plays strong safety too, but I like him better, kind of back a little bit. And then to round it out, if we're looking for a dime linebacker kind of thing, Clayton Isabel from Carolina, one of the Carolina schools, I forget, one of the small school Carolina schools. Good tackler. He's 226 pounds playing safety, so he's one of those guys you can convert to linebacker. Good testing numbers, good tackle numbers. So somebody to keep an eye on. And then lastly, Amani Johnson out of Nevada. It took a long time for him to get a shot, but last year he had 100 tackles, 72 solo tackles. And again, he's like 216 pounds, so definitely somebody, a dime linebacker, or possibly convert to a linebacker, that type of player. And so those are kind of the guys I got my eyes on for the draft. We'll see what happens with free agency. I'll probably do another video once we get some more free agents, because it'll definitely shorten the list down. If we make a big trade, that'll change things around as well. But I just thought I'd give you a little flavor of players I'm looking at, players I like. Let me know who you guys are looking at, who you like, who your sleepers are. And please like, share, subscribe to the video. But other than that, hopefully we have a solid draft. Looking forward to that, and we'll see what sort of moves come up. I'm sure there's going to be some big free agent signings or some draft trades or something that's going to happen with us. But anyways, good talking to you guys again, and hope you enjoyed the video. Again, like, share, subscribe, that type of thing, and I'll catch you next time.